The question of the pupil. You have suggested that in what Gurdjieff was teaching Ouspensky, that is, as recorded in the book In Search of the Miraculous, Gurdjieff was teaching self-observation, and you have said only self-observation. It seems to us that there are many things in this book other than merely self-observation. Could you say something about this? The teacher replies, the book In Search of the Miraculous is Ouspensky's personal record, his personal memoir of those 3 years out of the 6 years from 1915 to 1921 when he was essentially a pupil of Gurdjieff. And we can ask the question, what was Gurdjieff teaching Ouspensky? Now, what I have said is that Gurdjieff was teaching Ouspensky self-knowledge. Self-knowledge, know thyself. This is recorded in this book. And the means to self-knowledge, Gurdjieff suggests to Ouspensky, is self-observation. It sounds logical, it sounds reasonable. To the ordinary man it sounds as if this is something that we can do. And Gurdjieff gave instructions, which you can read in this book In Search of the Miraculous by Ouspensky, about self-observation, how to observe the different functions operating in a man. And we can observe these functions and acquire thereby self-knowledge, know thyself. Now the only difficulty with this, of course, and Gurdjieff knew this, is that we can't do it as ordinary men and women. Gurdjieff was explicit about this in 1924. It's recorded, he said, self-observation is very difficult. You must try and try and try to come to the conclusion eventually that you can't do it. So what has this got to do with self-knowledge, and what has this got to do with Gurdjieff's teaching? Because it is something we can't do. So we establish we can't do it. And then Gurdjieff is giving to Ouspensky what I call try to exercises. Try to do this, try to do that, try to do the other, for the purpose of enhancing self-observation. Self-observation in terms of observing the functions in man operating as they operate. Functions coming from different centres. This is not possible. So what can we do? Gurdjieff starts to give tasks, try to tasks, to enhance the process of self-observation, because although we can't observe ourselves, and we learn that we can't observe ourselves, self-knowledge, in the sense of observing our functions coming from different centres as they occur to us, we can't do this. Gurdjieff then is giving specific tasks, temporary supervised tasks, to enhance the process of self-observation, so that we will, from each of these tasks, learn a specific piece of information about ourselves, which then builds up the picture that Gurdjieff is presenting of the ordinary man and of the possibilities of the ordinary man. Know thyself. Gurdjieff is building up this picture in the only way the ordinary man can do so. And we have these try-to tasks that we attempt on a temporary and supervised basis, I emphasize this, essentially, again, to come to the realization that we can't do them. So these are pieces of information that we are acquiring through our own efforts, and we're acquiring these pieces of information from self-knowledge, from self-observation, at a very profound level. because we are trying hard to do these things. Try to struggle with the habit of immediately manifesting when you experience an unpleasant emotion. This is explicitly recorded in Search of the Miraculous. Try to struggle with a habit. So we are struggling with habits, with routines, with the established structure, and I emphasize this, of the ordinary man, to start to acquire pieces of data at a more profound level, which build up a picture of how we are as ordinary men and women and what our possibilities are. And this is what Gurdjieff was doing with Ouspensky, the whole of that book. So self-observation becomes try to tasks. Try to be present in your observations. Try to. It's a try to task. We can't do it. But if we learn that we can't do it by our own efforts over a limited, as I say, and supervised period, then we acquire this knowledge that we can't do it at a very profound level. This is self-knowledge. We can't do it. We can't be present in our observations. And there is a whole raft, to use modern terminology, of try-to tasks given by Gurdjieff on a temporary and supervised basis to acquire pieces of information, pieces of data about ourselves, self-knowledge, at a more profound level, to build up a picture of the ordinary man, the ordinary woman, that is in fact the picture presented in the book Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson. We are abnormal. We can't develop in any way. We can't do anything. And in the light of this realization at a much more profound level and in a much more complex fashion, in the light of this, what can we do? What do we do? And this is where Gurdjieff starts to speak about the stairway. We must raise the level of the whole organism up to another level, at which point the way begins. Our problem is we're living at too low a level. We can't do all these things. We can't observe ourselves. We can't acquire self-knowledge, essentially. Or if we do acquire little pieces of self-knowledge, it is with great efforts on our part. And they will gradually build up a picture of what we are, who we are, and our possibilities. So this is what I'm saying about this book, In Search of the Miraculous. It is about self-observation leading to self-knowledge. But be very careful about this, because there is the danger that Gurdjieff is giving these try-to tasks for the purposes of self-observation, to enhance the process of self-observation, temporary supervised tasks. And there is the danger of taking these tasks as if they themselves are going to develop us in some way. This is the Gurdjieff tradition. Gurdjieff says, try to remember yourself. Try to. Temporary supervised task to come to the realization you can't do it. But if you then take this task in the sense that it is the means by which we can develop, then this is a serious mistake. This is not Gurdjieff's purpose. Gurdjieff's purpose was try to remember yourself, and after a certain length of time, a supervised period, you come to the conclusion you can't do it. So it's a piece of knowledge. The ordinary man can't remember himself. Full stop. Self-knowledge. And all these different pieces of self-knowledge build up a picture of our situation. And it is the picture that is presented, that is Gurdjieff's teaching, in Beelzebub's Tales to His Grandson. It's a picture of the ordinary man who is abnormal. And we require a transformation, an energetic change, to lead us towards normality, not being abnormal. So, I've answered your question, but what I'd like to re-emphasize, and I know I repeat myself, but I'd like to re-emphasize the fact that the tasks given by Gurdjieff to his pupils are not the means for self-development in any way. They are try-to tasks. They are temporary supervised tasks for the purpose of enhancing the process of self-observation leading to self-knowledge. Once that's done, forget them. And the danger is, as I suggest in the Gurdjieff tradition coming from Ouspensky and the system of Ouspensky, the danger is that these temporary supervised tasks are seen as the actual means by which we can develop, and this is completely false.